Again from the Mulligan, I've got another Aether Revolt Booster Tutor. Just love cracking these packs, so let's get stuck straight in and see what we can get out of this pack. So card off the top there is Wrangle. So it's a 2-drop, a colourless and a red, happens at sorcery speed. Gain control of target creature with power 4 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So if you know you're sort of going to be a fairly aggressive deck with a lot of that swing to win strategy, Wrangle's a pretty good card to have sort of backing you up, in that opponents are going to try and leave up the correct amount of blockers to keep themselves alive. So by ripping a blocker off of them and then using that in offense as well, great card there. Probably wouldn't be first picking it though, but let's see what else is in the pack. So next up we've got Bastion and 4, so he's a 3-2 for 3, 2 colourless and a white, and he's just a dwarf soldier. He doesn't have any special effects built in there, so pretty average card. Next up we've got Conviction. So it's a 2-drop, colourless and a white, has Enchant Creature. Enchanted Creature gets +1/+3, and for a white you can return Conviction to its owner's hand. So a great way to trigger Revolt there, guys. Definitely worth a look in Conviction if you know you're going to go into that Revolt strategy. Next up we've got Aether Chaser. So he's a 2-drop 2/1, a colourless and a red, has First Strike, which is fantastic on that 2 attack power body. When he enters the battlefield, gives you 2 energy, and when he attacks you may pay 2. If you do, create a 1/1 colourless servo artifact creature token. So this card's good in that you're probably going to be able to create that servo if you want, but he also supports those energy strategies by just generating the 2 energy as he comes in. So 2 mana for a 2/1 First Strike's okay, adding that energy on top's pretty good, and then being able to create a servo is also a nice sort of option for you there, guys. So next up we've got Lifecraft Cavalry. So it's a 5-drop 4/4. For 4 and a green, you get a creature that has Trample and Revolt. So when he enters the Lifecraft Cavalry enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. So 5 for a 6/6 Trampler is just out of control. Great in those +1/+1 counter strategy sort of decks. Might not be a first pick, but definitely keep an eye out for this one, guys. You want to be grabbing it if you're in +1/+1 counters. Great sort of win con there. Next up we've got Renegade's Getaway. So it's a 3-drop instant, 2 colours and a black, gives you target permanent gains indestructible until end of turn, create a 1/1 colourless servo artifact creature token. So this card's good in that you can make some good trades with one of your creatures, either in attack or defense. The other thing that's worth considering as well is if you use this sort of before you declare blockers phase, you're going to generate that 1/1 colourless servo artifact creature token, so it's going to give you an extra chump blocker and make one of your creatures indestructible. So definitely worth doing it in response to the declare attackers step. Not a bad card there. Next up we've got Implement of Malice. So it's a 2-drop artifact that has, for a black, sacrifice Implement of Malice. Target player discards a card, activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. And then when it's put in the graveyard, draw a card as well. So not a bad effect there, guys. This is good in those improvise decks, especially in black. You can throw this out in the early game to get your improvise off, and then you can use it in the late game, hopefully to hit something good with the discard step, or to draw yourself into another card. Also goes into those +1/+1 strategy decks, triggering the Revolt, so not a bad all-rounder there, guys. Next up we've got Reservoir Walker. So for 5 you get a 3/3, and when he enters the battlefield you gain 3 life and get 3 energy. So probably wouldn't be a first pick from me, guys, but this is definitely worth it if you're going into a strategy sort of deck. You get a 3/3 body that you can sort of chump block with, or block, you know, smaller creatures, so it's not too bad. Gives you 3 energy, so that's great for those energy decks, and gives you 3 life, so sort of swings you back into the game if you've taken a few hits. Next up we've got Destructive Tampering. So it's a 3-drop, 2 colourless and a red, has choose one, destroy target artifact, or creatures without flying can't block this turn. So another pretty good card there, guys, in that a lot of the strategies at the moment are revolving around artifact creatures or just artifacts themselves. So a card that gives you options is fantastic. You'd probably be looking at drafting this into your sideboard more than anything though, for when you come up against those strategies. If you come up against blue with lots of flyers, if you come up against blue with lots of improvise, you can start ripping some of those artifacts out that they might use. And then creatures without flying can't block this turn is also great. So if you're in red-blue and you've got some flyers yourself, you can sort of get over the top there. Next up, we've got Cogwork Assembler. So he's our first uncommon for this pack. He's a 3-cost 2/3 that has pay 7, create a token that's a copy of target artifact. That token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. So pretty niche strategy with this one, guys. You can sort of use it to supplement your improvised stuff. For 8 mana, if you really wanted to, you could create a copy of an implement that you might have out and then sacrifice that implement, so sort of getting full effect for creating a token. Probably wouldn't be a first pick from me, but I would like to see this come around if I'm sitting in an improvised strategy. Next up, we've got Gonti's Machinations. So it's a 1-cost enchantment. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you get an energy, pay 2 energy, Gonti's Machinations, and sacrifice it. Each opponent loses 3 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So not a bad card if you're sort of getting hit. If it's going to be like a death by 1,000 cuts with lots of 1 damage being traded over there, because you'll take 2 damage and then be able to use this card to its full effect. Can also use it to save up energy for other energy-based strategies, but really, you're probably just looking at dropping this card, getting hit a couple of times, and then using it to sort of get a little bit of a bonus back just for that 1 mana. So not a bad card there, guys. Next up, we've got Pacification Array. So it's a 1-drop, has pay 2 and tap it, tap target artifact or creature. So this card's probably fairly underrated. It does a lot of work for you, especially in those improvised decks. It keeps your opponent off you while you're trying to set up, and then it also locks your opponent's best blockers down when you want to get back in on them. So definitely don't just write this card off. Great for those improvised strategies. Our rare for this pack is Battle at the Bridge. Probably a little bit of another underrated rare. Has pay X and a black, and it happens at sorcery speed. Also has improvise built into it, so great for those blue-black improvised decks. Target creature gets -X, -X until end of turn, you gain X life. So it doesn't happen at instant speed, which makes it a bit harder to use, but gaining X life and killing X creatures, especially when you can bring X up to be something like 10 in the late game, just by tapping 5 mana and 5 artifacts. It's just a great card to swing the game back in your favour. Don't write this one off at draft, guys. And finally, we've got a foil forest and just a regular island and a Thopter.
My pick for this pack, guys, is going to be Pacification Array. Now, the reason I'm taking this card over the other ones in the pack is it's in the uncommon slot, so probably not likely to see it again. And it sort of keeps your options open. You can splash this into any deck being colorless, and it's going to do work for you. So even if you're in an aggressive style deck, you can tap down one of their blockers. If you're in a sort of control style deck, you can tap down one of their attackers. It works with improvise, and it works with a number of artifact sort of related creatures that let you sacrifice artifacts to deal damage and that kind of stuff. So just trying to keep my options open on this first pick. It's usually a pretty safe bet, unless you're getting something that screams for you to play a certain archetype. You probably want to try and keep your options open as much as possible. During draft, I've been drafting up to 3 colors per deck more often than not, just in this sort of theory to try and keep as many good options open as I can. Because if I'm in 3 colors, that means that I have more cards that I'm likely to grab out of a pack, especially later on during the passing of the packs. You're more likely to see stuff that's applicable to you if you keep your options open. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.